Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Nature channel. Tonight, you are invited to slow down. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. Just let your breathing soften, in through the nose, and out again, easy and unforced. This story is about snow, not the storm, not the cold, but the moment before the world becomes quiet. Imagine standing outside as the air begins to change. You don't see anything yet, but you feel it. The sky lowers slightly. The light dims as if someone gently turned a dial. Snow always arrives like this, not loudly, not suddenly, but with intention. High above you, inside a slow-moving cloud, tiny crystals are forming, not rushing, not competing. Each one growing around a single speck of dust, patiently collecting moisture from the air. Snow never hurries. It has all the time it needs. The first snowflake falls almost unnoticed. It drifts instead of drops. Snowflakes fall much slower than rain because their shape is full of open space designed to float. They turn as they fall, gently spinning, choosing no direction at all. When the first flake touches the ground, nothing changes. And yet, everything has begun. Snow is one of the few things in nature that arrives without expectation. It doesn't ask the ground what it covers. Fields, roads, branches, rooftops, all are treated the same. Snow does not correct, it softens. As more flakes follow, the air itself seems thicker, calmer. Sound begins to disappear. Fresh snow absorbs noise, trapping it in countless tiny pockets of air. This is why snowfall feels so quiet. The world is literally being wrapped in silence. You may notice your body responding without being told. Your shoulders drop, your breath deepens. Humans naturally slow their movements when snow begins to fall, as if the body remembers something ancient. This is a time for gentleness. Snow does not fall straight down. It wanders. Each flake follows invisible currents of air, small rivers moving through the sky. No two snowflakes take the same path, and no two are ever the same, not once, not ever, in all of time. As the ground whitens, the sharp edges of the world begin to blur. Lines soften, corners disappear. The landscape becomes simpler, quieter, easier to hold in the mind. White spaces give the brain a place to rest. Beneath the forming blanket, life does not stop. Snow insulates the earth, holding warmth close to the soil. Roots remain alive. Seeds sleep safely. Small animals move through tunnels beneath the snow, protected from the cold above. Snow looks cold, but it is a guardian. It keeps the ground steady when the air freezes. It protects by covering, not by resisting. As the flakes continue to fall, time begins to stretch. Minutes feel longer. Thoughts lose their urgency. The mind, like the landscape, becomes less detailed and more peaceful. Snow has no memory. It does not remember what was there before. It does not worry about what will come after. It exists only in this moment of falling and landing and resting. And as you stand here, watching the world change so gently, you may notice something else. Your thoughts are falling too. Slower now, with more space between them. Nothing needs to be solved tonight. Nothing needs to be decided. Snow has arrived, and that is enough. Let your breathing match the snowfall. In like a drifting flake. Out as it settles softly into place. And as the night continues to quiet itself around you, the snow keeps falling, patient, calm, and endlessly kind. Snow continues to fall, and something subtle begins to happen. The world does not just look different, it listens differently. Sounds that once traveled far now stop early, as if they grow tired halfway. Footsteps fade into softness. Distant noises lose their edges. Snow absorbs sound the way fabric absorbs light, pulling sharpness inward and letting silence spread. This is why snowfall feels so intimate. Even open spaces seem closer. Even the night feels nearer to you. Each snowflake lands and stays, not bouncing, not rolling away. Snow chooses rest the moment it arrives. Under the growing layer, the ground temperature becomes steady. While the air above may be freezing, the soil beneath the snow remains surprisingly warm. Snow is made mostly of air, thousands of tiny pockets holding heat gently in place. Because of this, plants survive winter nights. Life waits, protected by stillness. You might notice that light behaves differently now. Moonlight reflects from the snow and lifts the darkness slightly, creating a soft glow. Night does not feel heavy anymore. It feels open. Snow reflects almost all available light, turning even a dim night into something gentle and visible. There are fewer shadows, and the ones that remain are wide and calm. Animals understand this moment well. Many become quieter during snowfall. Some pause their movement entirely, listening. Others move slowly, carefully, respecting the hush. In the forest, branches accept snow without protest. Each limb bends just enough, distributing weight evenly. Trees have practiced this for thousands of winters. Flexibility keeps them standing. Snow does not cling aggressively. It settles where it is welcome. Where it is not, it lets go. As flakes continue to descend, the landscape begins to lose its details. Fences disappear into smooth lines. Paths become suggestions instead of rules. The mind enjoys this. Fewer shapes to track, fewer decisions to make. White landscapes reduce mental noise. The brain relaxes when visual complexity fades. This is why snow often brings a sense of calm without explanation. You may feel a quiet alertness, not excitement, not sleep yet, but a gentle awareness. Snow creates a pause in the day, an unspoken permission to slow. Even time behaves differently. Snowfall stretches moments, making them feel fuller. A few minutes can feel like a long, peaceful chapter. And snow never asks for attention. It continues whether you watch or not. It falls just as gently when no one is looking. If you were to kneel and look closely, you might see how snow reshapes the smallest things. A blade of grass bent into an arc, a stone softened into a mound. Everything becomes less sharp, less demanding. Snow removes contrast, and contrast is effort. Beneath the surface, roots continue their quiet work. Microorganisms remain active. Life is not paused. It is simply quieter, conserving energy. Snow teaches this lesson without words. Rest is not the opposite of living. It is part of it. Your breathing may feel slower now, more even. The body often mirrors the environment without being asked. When the world softens, you soften too. Snow has no intention beyond falling. It does not hurry toward melting. It does not cling to permanence. It accepts change with patience. And as the night deepens, snow continues its gentle work, covering, quieting, protecting. Thoughts begin to space themselves farther apart. Not forced, not pushed away. They simply arrive less often. The world is learning how to be quiet again, and you are learning with it. The snow keeps falling. Snow settles more deeply now, and the ground begins to trust it. A thin blanket becomes thicker, layer upon layer, each flake resting without pressure. Nothing is forced. Snow knows how to arrive gently. Beneath this soft cover, the earth grows calmer. Temperature evens out. The sudden shocks of cold air no longer reach the soil. Snow acts like a quiet roof, keeping warmth close, keeping change slow. Seeds sleep safely here. Some have waited months for this moment. They will not sprout yet. They are patient. But they rest knowing spring will come. Snow teaches patience without ever naming it. Tiny movements continue under the surface. Insects shift in narrow spaces warmed by trapped air. Roots grow by fractions, almost imperceptibly, following moisture, following memory. Life does not rush in winter. It listens. Snow crystals interlock as they land, forming a structure both delicate and strong. What looks fragile becomes resilient through togetherness. Each flake supports the next. Branches carry their white weight carefully. Trees bend just enough, redistributing the load. They have learned over centuries that resistance breaks, but flexibility survives. Snow reminds them. Snow reminds you. Light now moves across the landscape differently. It slides instead of bouncing. It spreads instead of striking. Moonlight glows rather than shines, creating a soft, even brightness that feels almost internal. The night seems larger but also closer. Distances shorten when edges fade. Faraway places feel reachable simply because they look gentle. If you listen closely, you may notice how little sound remains. Not silence, but something softer. A background hush, like a held breath. Snowfall changes how the brain processes space. Without sharp contrasts, the mind relaxes its constant scanning. There is less to watch for, less to protect against. This is why snow often feels safe. Paths beneath the snow become suggestions, not instructions. The ground no longer demands direction. You could walk anywhere or nowhere at all. Snow does not mark mistakes. Footprints fade. Lines disappear. The land resets itself quietly. Under this white layer, water is stored carefully. Snow holds moisture for months, releasing it slowly when warmth returns. Rivers are being prepared now long before they flow. Snow plans gently, far ahead, without urgency. Even the air feels different. Colder, yes, but cleaner. Snow pulls particles from the sky as it falls, leaving the atmosphere clearer behind it. Each flake cleans the air in its own small way. You may feel a sense of enclosure, like being inside something protective. Snow creates rooms without walls, shelter without structure. Your body recognizes this. Muscles loosen. The jaw unclenches. Breathing deepens without instruction. Snow does not distract. It simplifies, and simplicity feels like rest. Time stretches again. Moments grow wider. There is room inside them now. Nothing is expected of you here. Snow falls whether you think or not. It covers whether you decide or not. And slowly, as the night continues to settle, as the world rests under its quiet covering, your thoughts begin to rest too. Snow keeps falling, softly, steadily, protecting everything beneath it, including you. Snow keeps falling, and time loosens its grip. Minutes no longer press forward. They widen, soften, and begin to drift, just like the flakes themselves. Snow changes how motion feels. Everything moves more slowly now, not because it must, but because it can. Cars glide carefully. Footsteps shorten. Even blinking seems unhurried. This slowing is not imagined. Snow-covered landscapes reduce visual contrast, and the brain responds by easing its pace. Less contrast means fewer signals to process. Fewer signals mean less urgency. Snow invites the nervous system to rest. Each flake falls with a gentle hesitation, pausing midair as if listening. Its shape catches the wind, turning descent into a soft dance. Snowflakes fall at different speeds, different angles, different rhythms. There is no uniformity, only harmony. If one were to land on your sleeve, it would disappear almost instantly. Not in a rush, just a quiet change from solid to water, from form to memory. Snow does not insist on staying. The cold air carries sound differently now. High frequencies fade first, leaving only the lowest, calmest tones behind. The world sounds deeper, slower, and farther away. Snow teaches restraint. It covers without smothering. It quiets without erasing. Under the snow, the ground continues its long, patient processes. Microorganisms work slowly, conserving energy. Nutrients wait. Cycles pause without breaking. Above the snow, the sky feels closer. Clouds hang low, reflecting light back toward the ground. The night becomes less endless, more contained, like a ceiling drawn gently lower for comfort. Snowlight does not glare. It glows. This glow reduces the sense of distance, making the world feel held rather than vast. The brain finds comfort in this, an ancient response to enclosed, protected spaces. You may notice your thoughts changing shape. They arrive less sharply, they linger briefly, then dissolve. Snow does not encourage thinking forward or backward. It invites presence. Even memory softens here. Snow-covered moments often feel timeless, harder to place on a calendar. They exist outside schedules, outside urgency. This is why snow feels nostalgic, even when it is new. The body responds again, quietly. Breathing deepens. The heart slows slightly. Muscles release small tensions they have been holding all day. Snow gives permission, not spoken, but felt, to do less. As flakes continue to fall, the rhythm becomes steady and predictable. Predictability is calming. The mind relaxes when it knows what comes next. Flake, pause. Flake, pause. Your breathing may begin to follow this pattern. In, out. Snow does not demand attention, yet it gently holds it. Watching it is effortless, like watching waves or listening to wind. Nothing new needs to happen now. Snow is enough. Time stretches further. The night grows softer. And somewhere between one falling flake and the next, the mind finds space to rest. Snow keeps falling, uninterrupted, unhurried, and the world continues to slow with it. Snow rests quietly on the surface now, but beneath it, a different world continues. Invisible, protected, and calm. What looks like emptiness is actually shelter. Snow creates a thin space between the cold air above and the living earth below. This space is filled with stillness and warmth. Under the snow, temperatures remain surprisingly steady. Even when the air above freezes deeply, the ground beneath stays close to the same gentle range. Snow's countless air pockets hold warmth like a soft quilt, pressed lightly over the land. Small animals understand this instinctively. Mice, voles, and insects move through narrow tunnels just below the snow's surface. Here, the world is quiet, dark, and safe from wind. Their tiny footsteps are never heard. Roots continue to exist in patience. They do not sleep completely. They slow, conserving energy, waiting for the slow return of light. Some roots grow by millimeters all winter, following moisture, following memory. Seeds lie still, but not forgotten. Snow signals to them that it is safe to wait, that the harshest air cannot reach them now. Spring will arrive when it is ready, not before. Even the soil breathes differently. Carbon and moisture exchange continues gently, evenly. Nothing rushes, nothing is lost. Above this hidden world, snow remains unchanged by what it protects. It does not need to see what it shelters. Protection does not require awareness. This is one of snow's quiet lessons. You can support something without touching it. You can protect something without controlling it. As the night deepens, the snow layer thickens slightly. Each new flake strengthens the calm below. The underground world trusts the silence above it. You may feel a similar sense of being held, as if the noise of the day cannot reach you here, as if thoughts no longer need to defend themselves. The brain recognizes this environment as safe, enclosed, predictable, sheltered. This is why sleep often comes easier on snowy nights. Snow also changes scent. Cold air holds fewer smells, and snow absorbs what remains. The world smells clean, faint, and distant. Nothing competes for attention. Even memory behaves differently. Snowy moments tend to feel insulated from stress, stored gently, without sharp edges. They return later as quiet recollections, peaceful, soft, incomplete in a comforting way. Beneath the snow, water is being stored carefully. When warmth returns, this snow will melt slowly, feeding soil, streams, and rivers over time. Snow plans for the future without urgency. It gives without asking. It prepares without announcing. And above it all, you remain still, breathing slowly, listening without effort. Snow continues to rest, not empty, not inactive, but quietly alive with everything it protects. And as the hidden world beneath the snow remains calm and steady, your own inner world begins to feel the same. Snow keeps falling, and light begins to behave as if it has learned patience. It no longer rushes across surfaces, it settles. Moonlight touches the snow and spreads outward, softened and widened. Instead of sharp reflections, there is a gentle glow, as if the ground itself is breathing light back into the night. Snow reflects almost everything it receives, but it does so kindly. This is why snowy nights feel brighter without feeling harsh. Darkness remains, but it loses its weight. The world feels visible, yet calm. Streetlights grow halos. Lanterns appear warmer. Even distant windows seem closer, wrapped in the same pale shimmer. Snow connects separate points of light into one quiet field. Light moves more slowly now. Clouds hang low, returning brightness back toward the ground instead of letting it escape. The sky becomes a ceiling, not pressing, but comforting. Like a blanket pulled just a little closer. Shadows change too. They stretch wider and blur at the edges. Nothing looks sharp enough to demand attention. The eye relaxes when it doesn't have to focus so hard. Snow simplifies vision, and when vision softens, thinking follows. Colors fade gently toward whites and blues. The brain rests when the palette narrows. Fewer choices, fewer signals, less effort. You might notice that looking at snow feels different from looking at anything else. Your gaze drifts instead of locking. It wanders without purpose, without expectation. Snow invites watching without analysis. Even movement becomes quieter in light like this. A falling flake glows briefly as it passes through a beam, then disappears again, seen, then gone. No need to follow. This pattern is soothing to the mind. Appear, fade, rest. Snowlight has been used for centuries to guide without urgency. Travelers once moved by it. Animals navigate by it. It offers enough visibility to feel safe, and not enough to feel alert. You may feel your eyelids growing heavier now, not forced, not sudden, just gently reminded that rest is possible. The body reads soft light as evening, as safety, as permission. Snow does not brighten to energize. It brightens to reassure. Breathing continues in an easy rhythm, in, out. The glow remains steady. Nothing flashes. Nothing changes quickly. Snow teaches light how to be calm, and light, in return, teaches the night how to feel welcoming. As flakes continue to fall through this gentle illumination, the world looks less like a place that needs watching, and more like a place that can be trusted to hold itself. Snow keeps falling, light keeps glowing softly, and you remain exactly where you need to be, resting inside the quiet. Snow keeps falling, and a new feeling quietly appears, a sense of inside. Even if you are outdoors, the world begins to feel enclosed. Snow draws invisible walls around open spaces. Distances shorten. The horizon feels closer, as if the night has stepped in to keep you company. This is one of snow's quiet gifts. It turns wide places into rooms. The air grows still between flakes. Wind rests. Movement pauses more often than it continues. The space around you feels held rather than exposed. Snow does this by softening edges. When boundaries blur, the mind stops scanning for what's far away. It focuses only on what is near, and what is near feels manageable. You may notice how comforting it feels to watch snow through a window. The glass becomes a gentle boundary. Cold remains outside. Warmth stays in. But even without walls, snow creates the same effect. It wraps the landscape in familiarity. Everything looks quieter, smaller, more personal. The brain responds to this instinctively. Enclosed spaces signal safety. They tell the nervous system it can lower its guard. This is why snowy nights often bring a desire to rest, to pause, to stay still. Snowfall creates a steady visual rhythm. Flakes pass by at a predictable pace. Nothing surprises, nothing demands reaction. Predictability calms the mind. The body relaxes when it knows what comes next. Flake after flake, the rhythm continues. The same gentle movement, again and again. Even thoughts begin to stay closer now. They don't travel far. They arrive softly, then drift away before forming weight. Snow does not invite planning. It invites presence. The world outside feels distant, almost optional, as if nothing urgent could reach you through this falling quiet. You may feel a subtle warmth spreading, not just in the body, but in the chest. A sense of being protected, even without knowing why. Snow has been sheltering life for thousands of years. Animals know this feeling. So does the human body. The night feels complete now, nothing missing, nothing waiting. Breathing becomes slower still, deeper, easier. Snow keeps falling, steady and kind. The world remains enclosed in its soft attention. And you remain inside this moment, safe, quiet, and unhurried. As the snow continues to fall, snow keeps falling, and now it begins to teach something quietly. Not with words, not with instruction, but through the way it never holds on. Each snowflake exists only briefly, forming slowly, drifting patiently, landing gently, and then changing. Snow does not resist this change. It does not try to stay a snowflake forever. It melts when it melts. It disappears without regret. This is part of why watching snow feels so calming. The mind recognizes this softness toward impermanence. Nothing clings. Nothing insists. Thoughts often cling. They replay. They hold shape longer than they need to. Snow shows another way. A flake lands on a branch and rests. Another lands beside it. Together, they create something new, not permanent, but peaceful. And when the branch warms, they let go. Snow does not see melting as an ending. It sees it as a return. Water will sink into the soil, feed roots, move toward rivers, eventually toward the sea. Snow knows it is never lost. This quiet understanding carries into the night. The world feels less heavy when nothing is trying to stay fixed. Even footprints fade. Marks soften. Paths reset themselves. Snow forgives quickly. The brain relaxes when it no longer has to remember everything, when it knows that mistakes, impressions, and sharp moments will soften on their own. Snow offers this promise without speaking it. Nothing needs to stay sharp tonight. Breathing deepens again. The body senses release. Muscles loosen without being told. Watching snowfall is like watching thoughts fall away, one by one, without force. Flake, gone. Flake, gone. There is no need to follow them, no need to understand where they go. Snow reminds the nervous system that letting go is safe, that nothing breaks when you release. The night grows quieter still, not emptier, calmer. Snow continues its gentle work, covering, resting, changing, returning. And as it does, you may notice that there is less to carry now, nothing to hold tightly, nothing to solve. Just this moment, soft, slow, and passing, like snow itself. Snow keeps falling, and the sky opens quietly above it. Not wider, calmer. Clouds thin just enough for faint stars to appear, softened by drifting flakes. They do not sparkle sharply. They glow gently, as if seen through a veil. Snow changes the relationship between earth and sky. The ground brightens, the sky lowers. Distance feels less important. Even when stars are hidden, the sky remains present. Snow reflects light upward, touching the clouds, sending a quiet signal back and forth. Earth and sky speak softly tonight. This exchange feels reassuring. The world is connected, not stretched apart. Cold air holds less moisture, and sound travels differently now. Silence becomes spacious rather than empty. It feels like room to breathe. Snow falls through this space without urgency. Each flake traces a small path from sky to ground, completing a journey that took hours to begin. Formation is slow. Arrival is gentle. You might imagine how long snow has been doing this. Before roads, before houses, before names. Snow falling under open skies, unchanged in its patience. This thought does not feel heavy. It feels steady. Under the open sky, the body relaxes in a different way. There is nothing above to watch for, no sudden movement, no sharp light. The nervous system recognizes this kind of night as safe, clear, predictable. Snow creates a horizon that is easy to hold. No harsh lines, no pressure to look far. The eyes drift upward briefly, then return to the slow dance of flakes. Up, down. This gentle movement becomes hypnotic. The mind follows without effort. Snow connects what is above and what is below. It brings the sky to the ground, one flake at a time. Breathing remains slow. Thoughts remain light. Nothing needs to be reached for now. The sky is already here. The ground is already held. Snow continues to fall between them, patiently stitching the night together as the open sky rests quietly above you. Snow is still falling, not more quickly, not more heavily, just steadily, as it has been all along. By now, the world has accepted it. Nothing resists anymore. Roofs no longer shed flakes. Branches no longer tremble. The ground has stopped changing its shape and has settled into stillness. Snow has finished explaining itself. Now, it simply is. The air feels different at this hour of the night. Thicker, quieter, as if movement itself has grown tired. Wind has almost completely disappeared. Between falling flakes, there are long moments where nothing moves at all. These pauses are important. Snow creates them on purpose. The brain begins to notice the spaces more than the motion, the silence between sounds, the stillness between flakes, the rest between breaths. This is where the deepest calm begins. Snowfall late at night is different from snowfall earlier in the evening. Earlier, the world is still watching. Now, the world has stopped paying attention. Snow does not mind. It continues its work without an audience. Under the thickening layer, the earth has reached a steady temperature. No more fluctuation, no sudden changes. The soil has entered a long, slow rhythm that will last until morning and beyond. Roots rest deeper now, not sleeping, but no longer adjusting. They are held in a gentle balance between cold and warmth. Insects remain motionless in protected spaces. Their bodies have slowed to near stillness. Energy is conserved carefully, like a quiet flame burning low. Even microorganisms have changed pace. Chemical reactions stretch out over hours instead of minutes. Time has lengthened for everything beneath the snow. Above ground, the landscape has simplified completely. What was once many shapes has become one soft surface. Differences no longer matter. Snow has removed hierarchy from the land. Nothing stands out. Nothing competes. The mind responds deeply to this sameness. When the world stops asking the eyes to choose, the mind stops asking itself questions. This is why snow feels like relief. The body sinks into this moment, almost without permission. Muscles that have been holding subtle tension finally let go. The forehead softens, the jaw loosens. The shoulders rest lower than they have all day. Breathing becomes slow and heavy in a comforting way. Each inhale fills the chest completely. Each exhale lasts just a little longer than the one before. Snowfall has synchronized the body with the night. There is something ancient in this response. Long before walls and doors, snow told living beings when it was safe to rest, when the world would not demand movement, when nothing would chase or surprise. That memory still lives in the nervous system. Snow speaks directly to it. Outside, light has grown dimmer. Moonlight diffuses through cloud and flake, no longer forming clear direction. There is no up or down, only glow. Shadows have almost vanished now. Without contrast, depth becomes irrelevant. The world feels flat in the best possible way. Easy to hold, easy to understand. Nothing is hidden because nothing needs to be seen. Snow has closed the day gently, like a book whose story no longer needs reading. If thoughts appear now, they are slow and incomplete. They begin, soften, and fade before finishing their shape. The mind no longer feels the need to follow them to the end. Snow encourages unfinished thinking, loose ends, open space. There is no danger in not concluding things tonight. Even memory grows quiet. The past feels distant and softened, as if covered by its own thin layer of white. Details blur, edges fade. The future feels equally far away, not worrying, just indistinct. Snow keeps everything at the same gentle distance. This is balance. Somewhere far away, a sound might exist, a distant animal, a settling branch. But it never reaches you. Snow absorbs it long before it arrives. You're inside a pocket of stillness now. Time continues to stretch. Seconds widen. Minutes drift. The night has stopped progressing and has begun resting. Snow continues falling, not because something needs changing, but because falling is what it does. It has no goal beyond this moment. And now, neither do you. There is nothing to prepare for, nothing to remember, nothing to complete. Only the slow, steady presence of snow, falling, landing, resting. And as the world remains wrapped in this quiet patience, your body follows naturally. Breathing deepens again, eyes feel heavy, Thoughts lose their shape entirely. Snow has done its work. The world is resting, and you are resting with it. Snow is still falling, but now it feels different, not active, not arriving, simply present. The night has shifted from motion into rest. You can feel it in the air, a gentle heaviness, like a blanket placed carefully over everything that exists. Even the idea of movement feels unnecessary now. Nothing is waiting to happen. Snowfall has reached its most patient rhythm. Flakes descend slowly, evenly, without change. There is no beginning to watch for anymore, no ending to anticipate. This is the hour when the night itself seems to close its eyes. Houses rest under white roofs, their shapes softened into quiet outlines. Roads are empty, no longer expecting footsteps or wheels. Paths that once connected places now lead nowhere in particular. Snow has released the land from purpose. The ground is no longer a surface to cross. It is simply a place to be. Inside this stillness, even distance loses meaning. Far away and nearby feel the same. Everything exists at an equal calm. Snow creates this equality by covering without preference. It does not highlight. It does not hide. It simply rests. The brain recognizes this moment deeply. When nothing stands out, nothing needs attention. Awareness softens into something closer to drifting. Thoughts become rare now, and when they appear, they arrive like flakes, slow, light, easy to release. There is no urgency in holding them, no reason to follow them anywhere. Snow teaches the mind how to pause without effort. Breathing becomes almost automatic. The body no longer adjusts or checks itself. It trusts the rhythm it has found. Inhale. Exhale. Each breath feels heavier, fuller, more complete. Snowfall has aligned the body with the night's pace. Heartbeats slow slightly, spacing themselves farther apart. Muscles rest deeply, as if gravity has softened. This is not tiredness, it is surrender. Snow does not demand sleep. It creates the conditions where sleep feels natural. Outside, the landscape has lost its memory of the day. Footprints fade, marks blur. The past dissolves quietly. Snow resets without erasing, leaving behind only what is gentle enough to remain. Even sound seems to have fallen asleep. No echoes travel, no distant noise pushes its way through. Silence here is not empty, it is full, padded, insulated, complete. Snow holds silence the way it holds warmth, carefully, evenly, without pressure. You may notice that your body feels heavier against whatever supports it. The surface beneath you feels more present now, as if the world itself has leaned in to help you rest. This sensation is ancient. Snow once told living beings when the night was safest, when nothing would move quickly, when predators slept, when the world paused. That memory still lives in the nervous system. Snow speaks to it softly. The sky above is calm and low, no longer drawing attention upward. Stars, if they exist, feel distant and unimportant. Nothing calls the eyes to stay open. Snowlight dims slightly, settling into a uniform glow that asks for nothing. Time now feels circular rather than forward moving. Moments repeat gently. There is no sense of progress, only continuation. This is the space where sleep becomes possible. Not forced, not sudden, just invited. Snow has removed the sharpness from everything, from edges, from thoughts, from time itself. Nothing presses, nothing pulls. The world has learned how to sleep, and it has taken you with it. Snow keeps falling, quietly, faithfully, as the night holds you in its softened stillness and rest settles in completely. Snow is still falling, But the night has changed its depth. It is no longer early night and not yet morning. It is the long pause in between, the quietest hour. This is the time when even the idea of time feels distant. Snow recognizes this hour. It falls a little more slowly now, as if listening to the stillness it helped create. Flakes drift wider apart. The air holds longer pauses between movements. Nothing anticipates dawn yet. The world remains turned inward. Trees stand without effort. They are no longer adjusting to weight or wind. Branches have settled into their final positions for the night. Snow rests on them evenly, like a careful balance that no longer needs correction. The ground beneath is calm and certain. Temperature holds steady. No sudden changes ripple through the soil. Everything beneath the snow trusts that nothing unexpected will happen. This trust is important. The body responds to it in a deep, unconscious way. When the environment becomes predictable, the nervous system releases its last guards. Alertness dissolves completely. Breathing becomes slower than thought, deeper than intention. Snow has carried the world into a state where nothing needs watching. In this hour, even animals that are usually restless grow still. Movements pause. Listening replaces action. Energy is conserved with care. Snow supports this by removing contrast. Without sharp lines, the eyes do not search. Without strong sound, the ears do not scan. Awareness softens into something closer to floating. Thoughts appear less frequently now. When they do, they arrive without urgency. They do not bring questions. They do not ask for answers. They pass like flakes across a dark sky, noticed briefly, then gone. Snow encourages this passing. It does not collect. It does not accumulate meaning. It rests where it lands, and then lets go. Even memory loosens here. The mind stops replaying the day. Events lose their sequence. What happened earlier feels less relevant, less defined. Snow smooths memory the way it smooths landscapes. The body grows heavier in a comforting way. Muscles sink fully into rest. Tiny tensions that have been held without awareness finally dissolve. The jaw relaxes, the tongue rests. The space behind the eyes grows soft and warm. This is the hour when sleep deepens without being noticed. Snow does not signal it. It simply supports it. Outside, the sky remains dark, but it has changed texture. The darkness feels thinner now, not brighter, just gentler, as if it is preparing quietly, without announcing anything. Snow continues falling, bridging this long pause between night and morning. It keeps the world wrapped so that no sharp change can arrive too quickly. Nothing wakes suddenly under snow. Everything transitions slowly. This is why snowy nights feel complete. They do not rush toward dawn. They allow the night to finish fully. Breathing remains slow. Heartbeats are spaced widely apart. The body has entered its deepest rhythm. Snow remains patient, falling through the last quiet layers of darkness. And in this long pause before morning, the world rests so deeply that even the idea of waking feels far away. Snow is still falling. It has been falling for so long now that it no longer feels like an action. It feels like a condition of the world. As if snow has always been here, the night no longer changes in noticeable ways. There are no new phases to enter, no shifts to observe. Everything has reached a quiet equilibrium. Snow has finished arranging the world. The land lies beneath it in complete acceptance. No surface pushes back, no shape argues. Everything rests exactly where it has been placed. This is one of snow's rarest qualities. It does not dominate. It does not conquer. It simply arrives until resistance disappears, not through force, but through patience. The air is perfectly still now, not because wind has stopped forever, but because it has chosen to rest. Between falling flakes, there is nothing at all. These spaces, the moments where nothing moves, grow longer. The brain notices them instinctively. When nothing happens for long enough, the mind stops waiting. It releases expectation. That release feels like relief. Snow creates a world without surprises, and the nervous system responds by lowering itself gently, like a dimmer being turned down one final degree. Under the snow, the ground has fully surrendered to stillness. Chemical processes slow to their quietest pace. Energy is conserved with careful precision. Life continues, but without urgency, without ambition, without noise. Roots remain where they are. Seeds remain exactly as they were meant to be. Nothing pushes upward, nothing retreats. Snow teaches the wisdom of staying. Above the snow, the sky holds its breath. Clouds do not thicken. They do not break apart. They simply exist, stretched softly across the darkness. Light has become uniform. There are no bright points anymore, no shadows deep enough to feel separate. Everything belongs to the same calm tone. This sameness is deeply soothing to the mind. When nothing stands out, nothing needs processing. Thought dissolves into awareness, and then even awareness softens. You may feel as if you're sinking gently into the night itself, not falling, not drifting away, just settling. Snow encourages this settling without effort. Even the concept of time is thinned. There is no before and no after here, only now, extended, quiet, and complete. Snow exists entirely in the present. It does not prepare, it does not reflect, it simply continues. And in doing so, it gives the mind permission to do the same. Thoughts that once felt important no longer rise to the surface. They have lost their weight. Their urgency has dissolved under the steady accumulation of calm. If a thought appears, it arrives without context, without emotion. It floats briefly, then fades. Snow teaches that nothing needs to be finished tonight. Even identity softens here. There is less sense of separation between you and the world around you. Boundaries blur gently, without confusion. Inside and outside feel less distinct. Snow connects everything it touches by making everything the same. The body feels heavier now, but in the most comforting way, not weighed down, supported. Every surface seems to hold you more carefully, as if gravity itself has softened. Breathing continues in a deep, slow rhythm, not guided, not controlled, just happening. Inhale, exhale. Each breath flows without interruption, like the snowfall itself. The night has reached its deepest point of rest. Nothing stirs. Nothing anticipates morning yet. Snow holds the world exactly as it is, not improving it, not changing it, just keeping it safe. This is the quiet center of winter, the still heart of the night. And as snow continues to fall, endlessly, gently, without intention, the mind follows it downward into a place where nothing is required and rest feels complete. Snow is still falling, but now it feels almost symbolic, as if the motion itself has become secondary to what it has created. The world no longer reacts. It simply rests. At this point in the night, even the idea of effort has faded. There is nothing to respond to, nothing arriving that needs interpretation, nothing leaving that needs remembering. Snow has removed the need for readiness. The air is quiet in a way that feels complete, not empty, not waiting, finished. Between falling flakes, the stillness stretches so wide that it almost feels like space itself has slowed. Moments are no longer measured by change, but by absence of it. This is where the mind finally stops checking. During the day, awareness moves constantly, scanning, adjusting, preparing. Snow interrupts this pattern gently, but completely. When nothing changes for long enough, vigilance releases. You are no longer watching the world. You are simply inside it. Snow supports this shift by staying predictable. The same soft motion, the same quiet landing. No sudden shifts in sound or light. Predictability is one of the deepest signals of safety the nervous system knows, and snow provides it endlessly. The ground beneath the snow feels sealed now, protected not only from cold, but from disruption. Even vibration seems muted. If something were to move far away, you would never feel it here. Snow absorbs impact the way it absorbs sound, gently, thoroughly. This creates a profound sense of isolation, but not loneliness. Isolation without separation. Privacy without walls. You are alone with the world, not apart from it. The body responds in subtle ways. Muscles soften further, as if realizing they no longer need to be ready to move. The spine settles. The face relaxes completely. Even the small muscles around the eyes release their hold. Breathing grows deeper still, not slower now, just fuller. Each inhale reaches lower. Each exhale empties more completely. Snowfall mirrors this rhythm. Downward, rest. Downward, rest. There is no upward motion in snow's language. It does not lift. It does not rise. It only descends calmly, patiently toward rest. This downward motion encourages the mind to follow, not into darkness, into quiet. Thoughts no longer form sentences. They appear as fragments, impressions without direction. And then, even those fragments thin out. Snow is very good at thinning things. It thins sound. It thins light. It thins memory. It thins intention. What remains feels essential, but undefined. You might notice a sensation of weightlessness combined with heaviness at the same time. The body feels anchored, while the mind feels unbound. This is a common state just before deep sleep. Snow does not push you into it. It simply removes everything that would keep you out. Outside, the night remains unchanged. No hint of morning yet. No shift in color or sound. Snow continues falling as if time itself has paused. The world is no longer moving forward. It is holding warmth beneath the ground, holding silence in the air, holding you inside this long, gentle stillness. Nothing is required of you here. You do not need to follow the story. You do not need to imagine anything new. You do not need to remember where you are in time. Snow has taken care of all that. The night has been simplified to its most basic form: darkness, soft motion, and rest. As snow continues to fall, endlessly, quietly, without expectation, the mind loosens its final grip. There is no edge to reach, no conclusion to arrive at. Only this, a world where nothing is asked of you and nothing is missing. Snow is still falling, but it has become almost imperceptible now. Not because it has stopped, but because everything else has slowed to match it. The world has reached a depth of stillness that feels complete. Not empty, not paused, finished in the most gentle way. There are moments now when you forget to watch the snow at all. Your eyes rest without focusing. Your attention drifts without direction. Snow continues whether it is observed or not. This is important. Snow never depends on being noticed. It falls for the ground, not for the gaze. At this depth of night, the environment sends one clear message to the body. Nothing is coming. No sudden sound, no change in light, no movement that requires response. The nervous system receives this message and finally stops listening outward. Awareness turns inward and then softens even there. Breathing becomes deep and steady, but almost unnoticeable. You do not track it anymore. It happens on its own, like the snowfall itself. In, out. Each breath feels cushioned, supported by the stillness around it. Snow changes the feeling of gravity. Everything seems slightly heavier, slightly more grounded. But this heaviness does not press. It holds. The surface beneath you feels secure, as if it will not change shape or temperature, as if it has decided to remain exactly as it is for the rest of the night. Snow creates this certainty by removing variation. No sudden textures, no sharp edges, no contrasting sensations. The brain relaxes deeply when variation disappears. Thoughts are now rare, and when they arise, they do not form stories. They appear as brief impressions, a color, a feeling, a fragment of memory, and then dissolve before taking shape. Snow interrupts the mind's habit of continuity. It allows each moment to exist without needing the next one. This is why time feels strange here, not fast, not slow, simply irrelevant. Snow exists without reference to past or future. It does not remember the flake that fell before. It does not anticipate the one that will fall next. It rests fully in each moment of descent, and gradually, the mind begins to do the same. Outside, the landscape has become completely unified. There are no landmarks anymore, no points of orientation. The world has turned into a single, gentle surface. This sameness tells the brain it can stop mapping, stop measuring, stop locating itself. There is nothing to get lost in here. You may feel a subtle sensation of drifting downward, not falling, not moving, just easing into something deeper. Snow encourages this easing by staying consistent. Nothing interrupts. Nothing demands adjustment. Even the night sky feels neutral now, neither open nor closed, just present. Stars, if they exist, are no longer relevant. Clouds are no longer noticed. Everything has blended into one quiet tone. Snow has flattened the world in the most comforting way possible. The body responds by releasing its final reserves of tension. Tiny muscles you were not aware of finally let go. The space behind the eyes softens. The neck settles. There is a sense now that holding on to wakefulness would take effort, and effort no longer feels necessary. Snow never asks you to sleep. It simply removes every reason not to. The soundscape has become complete silence, not the kind that feels empty or exposed, but the kind that feels padded and enclosed. Snow absorbs even imagined sound. The world feels far away, not distant, but unreachable in a peaceful way. Nothing from the outside needs to enter this space. You are resting inside a sealed moment. Snow continues falling through it, slowly, patiently. But even that motion feels secondary now. Stillness has taken the lead. This is the depth where sleep often begins, not suddenly, not noticeably, but by quiet agreement. Snow has prepared everything. The world is steady. The night is calm. The body is supported. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to follow, nothing left to hold. Snow keeps falling, gently and endlessly, as awareness loosens its final edges and rest deepens without effort. Snow is still falling, but it is no longer something you follow with your eyes. It has blended into the background of awareness, like breathing, like gravity, always there, never asking to be noticed. The night has reached a kind of stillness that feels round and complete. Not a pause before something else, not a break in motion, a stillness that stands on its own. Snow has created this by removing edges. Edges are what keep the mind alert. Sharp sounds, sudden contrasts, clear beginnings and endings. Snow softens all of them. The ground no longer has clear borders. Tree lines blur into the dark. The horizon dissolves until it feels optional. The world no longer presents itself in parts, only as a whole. This wholeness is deeply calming. When the mind no longer has to divide the world into pieces, it stops dividing itself. Thoughts no longer stack. Feelings no longer compete. Everything becomes one slow field of sensation. Snow supports this field gently, flake by flake. The air feels settled, as if it has found its most comfortable position and decided to stay there. No drafts, no shifts, just a steady, quiet presence around you. Even cold feels different now. It is no longer sharp or alerting. It feels smooth, neutral, almost distant. Snow changes the way temperature is felt, buffering extremes the way it buffers sound. The body understands this immediately. Breathing remains deep and steady, not because you are guiding it, but because nothing interrupts it. The chest rises and falls slowly, fully, without pause or correction. Each breath feels complete. Snow has removed the need to check. The mind often stays awake because it is waiting for something. A sound, a thought, a shift. Snow removes waiting by making everything predictable. The same motion, the same softness, again and again. This predictability allows awareness to loosen without fear. Thoughts are now distant, like lights seen through thick snowfall. You know they exist, but they no longer reach you clearly enough to matter. They fade before they form meaning. Memory, too, has grown quiet. Events from earlier feel far away, as if they belong to another season entirely. Snow has covered the day without erasing it, just enough to make it gentle. The future does not call from here. There is nothing ahead that needs anticipation. Snow holds the night in a steady present that does not move forward. This is one of the deepest comforts snow offers. Freedom from progression. No next step. No outcome. No finish line. Just this. The landscape beneath the snow has become indistinguishable from itself. Every slope softened, every surface smoothed. The world has let go of its own complexity, and complexity is effort. When the world becomes simple, the mind follows. You may feel a sense of being gently pressed downward, not pushed, not pulled, just supported. Snow has weight, but it is evenly distributed. It does not strain what it covers. It settles into balance. The body mirrors this. Weight spreads evenly. Pressure points soften. Nothing needs adjustment. The space around you feels sealed in the best possible way. Not trapped, protected. Snow creates insulation not just for the ground, but for experience itself. Outside concerns cannot pass through easily. They lose their sharpness long before they reach you. Silence here feels thick, layered, intentional. Not absence. Presence without disturbance. If a sound existed far away, it would arrive softened, incomplete, unimportant. Snow would take care of it. The nervous system rests deepest when it knows that nothing sudden can happen. Snow offers this certainty continuously. The eyes feel heavy now, but not strained. Heavy in the way warmth feels heavy, in the way comfort feels heavy. The mind does not resist this weight. It sinks into it naturally. Snow has done everything slowly enough that there is no moment of transition to notice. No line between awake and asleep. Just a gradual easing. The night feels endless here, not because it will never end, but because it does not need to end yet. Snow holds this timelessness carefully, without drama. It continues falling quietly, faithfully, maintaining the same calm rhythm that has carried the world into rest. And as this quiet with no edges surrounds you, awareness becomes lighter, thought becomes thinner, and rest deepens on its own, without effort, without instruction, without need. Snow keeps falling. Snow is still falling, but now it feels as if it has moved inside you, not as cold, not as weight, but as quiet. The world outside remains unchanged, steady, softened, complete, and the world within begins to match it. Thoughts do not stop all at once. They thin. Like snowfall viewed from far away, they become fewer, lighter, less defined. A thought may appear, but it does not gather momentum. It does not connect itself to another. It drifts briefly and settles. Snow teaches this gently. The mind is used to building bridges, from one idea to the next, from memory to plan. Snow removes the need for bridges by flattening the terrain. There is nowhere urgent to cross. When the mind no longer needs to travel, it rests. The environment supports this rest perfectly now. No sound breaks the quiet. No shift in light signals change. The air remains even and calm. Between flakes, the stillness stretches long enough that awareness forgets to look for movement. Waiting dissolves. This is where thinking softens into sensing. You may notice the feeling of the surface beneath you more clearly now, its steadiness, its temperature, the way it holds you without adjustment. Snow has taught the world how to support without pressure. The ground learned it. Now the body does too. Breathing continues, deep, full, unforced. You are no longer aware of the beginning or end of each breath. There is just a slow, continuous flow, in and out, without edges. Snow has removed edges everywhere. The sense of time grows very faint now, not lost, simply unimportant. There is no sense of how long you have been here or how long you will stay. This is not confusion. It is freedom from measurement. Snow exists without clocks. It falls according to temperature, moisture, patience, not minutes. The body responds to this timelessness by letting go of its internal counting. Heartbeats space themselves evenly. The nervous system settles into its lowest energy state. This is not exhaustion. It is efficiency. Nothing extra is happening now. If a memory appears, it arrives without detail, without emotion. It is more like a shape than a story. And then it dissolves before forming edges. Snow does this to memory too. It keeps the outline, removes the sharpness. The future feels distant in the same gentle way, not threatening, not calling, simply absent. There is nothing ahead that needs imagining. The world feels complete without extension. Snow holds everything in a long quiet now. You may feel a sensation of gentle downward drifting, as if awareness itself is settling layer by layer, like snow on the ground. Nothing is falling fast. Nothing is dropping suddenly. Everything eases. This easing is the doorway into deep rest. The body no longer checks its position. It trusts where it is. It trusts the surface beneath. It trusts the quiet around it. Snow has removed the possibility of surprise. Even silence feels stable now, It does not fluctuate. It does not thin or thicken. It remains constant, like a soft wall around the night. The brain recognizes this constancy and releases its last need to monitor. Awareness turns inward and then slowly loosens even there. There is less distinction now between noticing and not noticing, between listening and not listening, between being aware and being present. Everything blends. Snow encourages blending. The body feels both heavy and light at the same time. Heavy because it is fully supported. Light because it no longer needs to hold itself up. This combination is deeply soothing. Muscles remain relaxed without effort. The face is neutral. The eyes rest behind closed lids with no impulse to open. Snow has carried the world and you to the place where thoughts are no longer necessary, not pushed away, not silenced, simply unnecessary. The night remains deep and unchanged. Snow continues its slow, faithful descent. And as this quiet settles everywhere, outside, inside, beneath, above, awareness fades gently into rest, like a final flake landing without sound. Snow keeps falling. Snow is still falling, but the night has begun to thin, not brighten, just soften. This is the quietest transition of all. The moment when darkness does not end, but loosens its hold. The air carries a subtle change now, almost imperceptible, not a sound, not a color, just a gentler quality, as if the night has exhaled. Snow feels this before anything else. Flakes drift with the same patience as before, yet the space between them feels wider. The pauses last longer, stillness stretches. Nothing announces what is coming. The horizon remains indistinct. The sky does not brighten clearly. It simply becomes less dense, as if darkness has learned how to rest. Snow holds this moment carefully. It prevents change from arriving too quickly. It cushions the shift between night and morning so gently that it almost goes unnoticed. The world remains quiet enough to sleep through. Trees stand unchanged, but their outlines feel slightly lighter. Not clearer, just softer. The snow resting on their branches remains undisturbed, perfectly balanced. No wind arrives to test it. The ground beneath the snow remains sealed and calm. Temperatures hold steady. Nothing stirs. Snow ensures that life beneath does not feel the approaching day yet. Roots stay resting. Seeds remain still. Everything is allowed to continue sleeping. This is one of snow's kindest qualities. It delays awakening. The body responds to this delay instinctively. Even as the night begins to loosen, rest deepens instead of lifting. The nervous system sinks further, not upward. Breathing is slow and heavy now, like a tide that has settled into its deepest pull. Each inhale arrives without effort. Each exhale releases completely. There is no awareness of breathing anymore. It happens beneath thought, beneath attention. Snowfall mirrors this perfectly. Downward, pause. Downward, pause. A rhythm without demand. Thoughts are almost entirely absent now. If anything appears, it has no shape, no words, no images, just a sense of softness. The body feels distant in a comforting way, not disconnected, simply unimportant, as if awareness has stepped back and allowed the physical form to rest without supervision. Snow supports this by keeping the world unchanged. No new sound arrives to pull attention outward. No change in light calls the eyes to open. No variation demands adjustment. The mind recognizes that nothing will interrupt this rest, and so it lets go more deeply. This is the hour when sleep becomes thick and dreamless, when awareness fades without transition, when the boundary between being awake and being asleep disappears entirely. Snow is often present in this hour for a reason. It creates continuity. It prevents the mind from sensing the approach of morning too early. It holds the night together just a little longer. The sky above remains muted, its colors still blended into one gentle tone. No blue yet, no silver, just a thinning darkness, barely noticeable. Snow keeps falling through it, unchanged. If there were sound, it would feel far away now, as if it belonged to another place entirely. Snow has sealed this space completely. The body feels deeply settled. Weight spreads evenly. There is no urge to shift, adjust, or move. Muscles are relaxed beyond effort. Joints feel neutral. The face rests in a soft, expressionless calm. Snow has created a night without edges, and now it has created a morning without beginnings. Nothing starts suddenly here. The world will wake later, slowly, in stages, but not yet. Snow insists on one more long, quiet pause. This pause is not empty. It is full of rest. Even the idea of time feels distant now. There is no counting, no sense of sequence, just this steady, muffled continuation. Snow keeps falling, not to cover anything new, not to prepare anything else, but to maintain the calm it has already created. And as this softest moment of the night holds on, sleep deepens fully, naturally, without effort, carried gently by the last quiet hours of falling snow. Snow is still falling, but now it carries a different kind of quiet. Not the deep quiet of midnight, not the heavy stillness of the deepest rest, but a softer calm, one that belongs to the edge of morning. The world has not woken yet. It is only loosening. There is no clear line where night ends and morning begins. Snow refuses sharp transitions. It smooths the change the way it smooths everything else. The sky holds a faint light now. Not brightness, not color, just a thinning of darkness, as if the night has gently stepped back without announcing itself. Snow notices this, but does not respond. It falls with the same patience as before, the same rhythm, the same softness. This steadiness is important. It tells the world there is no rush. Trees remain still, their branches unchanged. Snow rests on them as it has all night, evenly balanced, undisturbed. Nothing shakes loose, nothing shifts. The ground beneath remains protected. The slow warmth held under the snow does not escape yet. Roots stay asleep. Seeds remain waiting. Snow delays awakening just enough to make it kind. The body feels this delay instinctively. Even as light begins its quiet return, rest does not lift. Sleep does not retreat. Instead, it deepens, as if the body knows it has been given more time. Breathing remains slow and full. The chest rises gently. The body does not feel the need to move or adjust. This is the kind of rest that feels complete. Snow has created continuity between night and morning. There is no jolt, no signal to prepare, no demand to shift awareness. Morning will arrive later. For now, snow holds the world still. Light touches the snow softly, not yet reflecting strongly. There is no glare, no sharp contrast. Snow diffuses the first hint of day, spreading it thinly across the landscape. It arrives as atmosphere rather than image. The brain remains relaxed because there is nothing new to interpret. Snow teaches the nervous system that change can be gentle, that transitions do not need alarm, that waking can wait. Even the air feels unchanged. Cold, yes, but smooth, stable, predictable. Snow keeps the environment consistent, protecting the deep calm that has settled over everything. Thoughts remain absent or distant. If awareness flickers briefly, it does not attach to anything. There is nothing to follow, nothing to plan. Snow has removed anticipation. This is why snowy mornings feel different from clear ones. Clear skies sharpen edges too quickly. Snow keeps them soft. It allows the mind to remain resting even as light returns. The sky remains pale and muted. No color announces itself yet. No sound travels. Snow absorbs what little movement exists. Somewhere far away, a world may be waking. But here, under snow, that world feels unreachable. Snow creates separation without isolation. You are not cut off. You are protected. The body responds by staying heavy, supported, deeply at rest. Muscles do not tighten. The spine remains settled. The face stays soft. Snow has taught the body that it does not need to be alert yet. Time remains vague. There is no sense of almost, no feeling of soon, only continuation. Snow continues falling through this gentle return of light, keeping the pace slow, keeping the tone quiet. The world remains wrapped in the same calm it has held all night. Nothing begins yet. Nothing ends. Snow exists between night and morning, holding both softly so that rest does not break too quickly. And as this final quiet stretch continues, sleep remains deep, uninterrupted, and complete, carried gently by the last patient hours of falling snow. Snow is still falling, but now it has reached the end of its long night work. Not an ending with a line drawn across it, just a soft easing, the way everything has happened here. The world remains wrapped, but it is no longer holding its breath. It is breathing slowly, comfortably, as if waking without opening its eyes. Light is present now in the quietest possible way, not bright, not directional, just a gentle awareness that the darkness has thinned enough to rest. Snow accepts this without change. It does not hurry to melt. It does not rush to leave. It remains steady, allowing the world to adjust at its own pace. This is snow's final gift, a beginning that does not interrupt rest. The sky carries a pale softness, almost colorless. No sharp blue, no gold yet. Just a calm presence spreading evenly across everything below. Snow receives this light and diffuses it, preventing any sudden contrast. The day arrives padded, quiet, unannounced. Trees remain still. Branches do not shake free. Nothing falls suddenly. Snow keeps its balance perfectly. The ground beneath remains insulated, protected from rapid change. The warmth stored overnight does not escape all at once. Roots are allowed to wake slowly. Seeds are given more time. Snow understands that waking should be gradual. The body feels this deeply. Even as the morning approaches, there is no urge to move, no impulse to open the eyes, no sense of being pulled forward. Rest remains intact. Breathing continues in the same slow rhythm it found during the night. The chest rises and falls gently. The body does not check the time. It does not measure readiness. Snow has removed urgency completely. This is why snowy mornings feel kinder than clear ones. They do not demand attention. They do not insist on action. They allow sleep to finish naturally. The world outside is beginning to exist again, quietly. But it does not knock. It does not call. Snow stands between rest and activity, making sure the transition is smooth. Light touches the landscape now, but everything remains soft. Edges stay blurred. Shapes remain gentle. The brain remains relaxed because nothing new needs interpretation. There are no sudden signals to respond to. No reason to shift awareness outward yet. Snow continues falling, or perhaps drifting is the better word now. Its motion feels lighter, less purposeful, as if it knows it is no longer needed to quiet the world. But it stays anyway. Snow has never rushed away from its work. The night has fully released its hold, but sleep remains deep, dreamless, heavy, complete. This is the moment where rest does its deepest work, not in darkness, not in light, but in between. Snow protects this space carefully. The body feels supported from every direction. Nothing presses, nothing pulls. The surface beneath you feels steady, familiar, unchanging. There is no reason to adjust. Thoughts do not return yet. There is no planning, no remembering. Awareness floats lightly, untethered from time. Snow has thinned the boundary between sleeping and waking until it no longer matters where one ends and the other begins. Outside, the world will soon continue. Snow will melt later, water will move again, life will resume its many rhythms. But none of that needs to happen now. Snow insists on gentleness, even in endings. There is no final moment to mark, no conclusion to announce. The story does not stop. It simply becomes unnecessary. Snow remains quietly present, holding the world in a soft pause, while rest completes itself fully, naturally, without effort. You do not need to follow anything anymore. You do not need to listen closely. You do not need to stay aware. Snow has already done everything it needed to do. The world is calm. The body is safe. The night has finished its long work. And now, gently, without instruction or demand, you are free to rest completely.